I don't know, man.
Huh?
Someone bet 50 grand on Duke money line today, where they're minus 20,000. They would win $250 if they win that bet. I mean, it's worth their money.
I hope they
Some
lose.
people just want to watch the world burn.
I hope they lose. I'm rooting now against Duke.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We are broadcasting live today at Helen Fitzgerald's, where the NCAA tournament is beginning, coming up here in just about 15 minutes. So if you guys want to come by, say hello, grab yourself a cold Bud Light, watch all the games. They've got dozens of televisions ready to go for you today. There's no better place to enjoy the action than right here at Helen Fitzgerald. So come on out, say hello.
And now they have to hear
out
us.
here. And apparently we're going to be live and loud on remote.
All right.
Let's get the booze
That's what I'm
going for
talking about.
basketball.
And we're talking Blues.
These schmucks are talking over us while we're trying to enjoy our wings and beer.
All right, so the Blues in action last night. They lose in a shootout, Alex, 2-1 against the Calgary Flames. Were you happy? Were you sad? How did you feel about the result
I was
last
pissed
night?
it was a shootout for an 8:30 puck drop. What do you think? Of course I wasn't happy with that one. No, I mean, look, that was a that was a bad loss, I think we could all say. But let's also mission accomplished question mark. Like, you went to a shootout, you gave them a point, you got a point, you gave them the extra point, so they moved a little bit closer to you. But still, I mean, you could have sat there and continuously told me that, hey, the Blues have won 8 in a row against Calgary. Hey, the Blues have won 8 in a row against Calgary. You knew it was going to go the opposite direction. And, I mean, they're lucky they got a point out of it. They weren't ready to play. Calgary outplayed them in the first 2 periods. That game should have been 4-1 by the end of the second period.
Yep.
If not for Elliot Mondeau and his coaching staff, on top of just a terrible officiating crew that missed 2 blatant offsides and 1 high sticking that should have just killed the play, but instead Calgary capitalized and scored on those 3 goals. And every time those goals happened, when it was about to be 2-0, and then it was 1-0. When it was about to be 2-0, and then it was 1-0. And then when they made it 1-1 and it was about to be 2-1 and it stayed 1-1. Every time I was like, okay, well, that'll be the wake-up call for the Blues. They didn't show up for this one. They've had 2 days off. They'll wake up here and start to bring it to Calgary. Nope, never did that. And then they ran into a goaltender that, look, you could say Devin Cooley was hot and robbed them. I look at it as you just were unable to put the puck in the back of the net. I mean, Cooley made some good saves. You didn't go to the front of the net hard enough. So mission accomplished. You got a point. They got 2. They moved closer. You still stay in that bottom 5. But overall, man, there's no excuse for that one. I mean, you had 2 days off before you took on the second worst team in the NHL, and you didn't show up until the 3rd period.
And that's the big problem with the Blues, right? Too many
All
of these,
season.
Too many of these predictable. Yeah, I mean, you could feel it going in the game, right? Yeah, not sure they're going to show up. They had 2 days off. It's the big problem with them. And really, it just kind of it boils down to they've still only got 1 line working for them right now. I mean, again, that Thomas Holloway Snyder line, that line looked really good last night. I thought the Dvorsky line looked good at times.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, like Kyrou, Booch, Neighbors, guys, we good? Like, I didn't notice that line at all in that game.
Do something.
Yeah,
Do
that's kind of
something.
how I felt watching the game. They take the ice and go, all right, maybe this is the shift where we see something. And I go, nope, it's about the 5th game in a row where I've not seen anything from that line.
I would say right now what I've realized, they're missing 2 players for sure, but 3 players in their top 9. You are missing the spot that Booch is currently maintaining, Kyrou is currently maintaining, Bruin.
Yeah.
Those spots in your I they're whenever this in. Maybe Booch has become 3rd liner. I guess that's possible. And so there's really 2 spots in your lineup that are up for grabs right now. But I feel good about Dylan Thomas, Nuggeru. I think winger work ideally your 3rd for a real contender?
I think he needs a center. And Pavel Buchnevich is not a center. You need a guy that can get the puck to the net and let Jake Neighbors do his work. There's a lot of perimeter play with that line to where nobody's putting the puck on net. It's hard to be a power forward when there's no pucks for you to go out there and
but
get.
In a worst-case scenario, that guy could be in my top 9.
Yeah.
I know that. And I feel the same way about Dvorsky. I feel Stenberg, like, he's probably never going to score 25 goals in a season. That's okay. That guy just makes winning plays consistently, and if you are a contender, he's exactly the kind of player that I want on my team, right? Like, honestly, he's what Pius Suter was supposed to be for the Blues this year.
Yeah.
Long term, I think that's kind of what you're expecting out of him. So I feel pretty good about those slots, and I feel even better about them today than I did 6 weeks ago. But you're still lacking in that middle 6, and that's where this team has clearly fallen short, and that's what the offseason needs to be about. This offseason, maybe next year, we'll see, but, like, the lottery, the hope spots filled by a guy that you get in the lottery. The hope is that maybe you can get a Carbonneau who becomes that spot that Druin's currently in, you know? And then you trade Jordan Kyrou, and hopefully that player that you get back is able to fill one of those slots as well. But they're still in need. You can see where the clear hole is. You're basically missing a line out of your top 9.
Yeah.
And you feel that. Every single night you can feel the fact that you're a line short.
You're missing goal scoring. I mean, like, the biggest hole that they have had all season.
And it's been that way for a long time.
Yeah, and it disappeared, I think, right out of the Olympic break because we saw how good that Thomas Holloway-Snuggerud line was and truly is. Since the Olympic break, there have been only 4 goals that have been scored by the Blues that did not circulate around Holloway, Thomas, and Snuggerud.
That's crazy.
So the fact that if you had one line that is only creating offense for everyone else and putting the puck in the back of the net, that's problematic. And I think if you were to ask the Blues, the hope is Dalibor Dvorsky can come that number 2 center. As of right now, he's a number 3 center. So you are missing a center to play behind Robert Thomas. That, to me, is a to be determined. Let's see what it looks like next year and in 2 years as he continues to develop. You are missing. The biggest thing is a guy secondarily who can put the puck in the back of the net. Because what happens, every team that matches up against the Blues right now looks at it and says, we shut down Thomas Holloway and Snuggerud, we win this hockey game. And they're right. So you have to have another line like the Florida Panthers do where it's Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Reinhart on the second line that says, how are we going to stop both of these lines? Because when one gets shut down, the other one gets that mismatch. You don't have that. Jordan Kyrou, you're not getting enough. I mean, just from my eye, and it's my only opinion on this, it looks like Jordan Kyrou is just trying to get to the end of the season. And I don't blame him for how much noise was around him at the trade deadline. Like, guys probably like, man, I don't know what my future is going to hold. It's hard to play and that engaged the rest of the way. Pavel Buchnevich has hit his struggles over the ups and downs of this season. You are missing another line that is a threat to put the puck in the back of the net. And until you find that, you're always going to be a one-trick pony. And to me, that's where they're going to have to address this, whether it's the draft lottery, whether it's Justin Carbonneau, or whether you trade pieces to go get that guy, Jason Robertson, Brady Tkachuk, something like that. You lack secondary offense, and until you find that, you're going to be a team that gets beat down like that.
You mentioned that Snuggerud, Holloway, Thomas line and how great they've been recently, and, man, Jimmy Snuggerud's a big part of that. I wasn't sure what you could realistically expect out of Snuggerud this season, and really for the first couple of months, I think it looked like a struggle at times. And then the injury took place. He clearly was not fully healthy, got the surgery, and, man, over his last 13, 15 games, it's looked different for Jimmy Snuggerud. In his last 8 games, really, he has 8 goals, 21 points, and he's a plus 13, Alex.
Ooh, buddy.
Get 8 goals, 21 points, plus 13, and that is over the course of, what is this now?
You going since the Olympic break?
I apologize. This is in his last 17 games. It's been a morning.
Yeah, it has. It's been a night.
Leave it at that. I looked up this morning how many rookies have done this. Put up the kind of number, so 21 points in 17 games and a plus 13 in a 17-game stretch as a rookie. It doesn't matter which 17-game stretch, just any 17-game stretch as a rookie. The last player to do so prior to Jimmy Snuggerud was Michael Bunting in 2022. Before him, you have to go back to Michael Grabner.
Yep.
Back in 2011. And before that, Jason Arnott in 1994.
Ooh, buddy, T-Bone.
So in
you
the
weren't
last
even around.
30 years, there have been 3 rookies in the NHL that had a plus-minus of at least 13 and produced 21 or more points in any 17-game stretch. Jimmy Snuggerud is one of 3.
Yeah.
This is the kind of ceiling that, Alex, you had been selling me on that Jimmy Snuggerud clearly has, and we've seen that in production. There is no hope. There is no belief. Seeing is believing, and we've seen it for Jimmy Snuggerud in his last 17 games.
I have spent a lot of time on this show saying, like, Snuggerud could be kind of what Cole Caulfield has been with the Montreal Canadiens, and I could change my tune now because I think he can be like Cole Caulfield, but he's different. Cole Caulfield is a pure goal scorer. Jimmy Snuggerud is not just a pure goal scorer. Jim Montgomery was asked yesterday, what's most impressed you with him other than his shot? And he immediately said his ability to win one-on-one battles. He's big. He can go in there to a corner and come away with the puck, kind of like what Jaden Schwartz used to do. And he's elite passing. I mean, guys, that pass to Dylan Holloway last night with a 2-on-1 was eerily similar to what he did, I think it was last week, when he made that pass to Philip Broberg right on the doorstep and just tapped the puck in. He's got elite hockey IQ to where he sees the ice at the same level as Robert Thomas. And don't take away what Dylan Holloway has provided since he has returned. We have been talking so much about do they have another star, and it doesn't feel like they do. I think right now you at least have the possibility of 2 stars on that roster, because I think Dylan Holloway has a lot of that potential if he can stay healthy. And then there's no question in my mind, Jimmy Snuggerud has the potential to be a 35-plus goal scorer and a guy that could put up 80-plus points because of his.
He's I'm BK. We are broadcasting live at Helen Fitzgerald's. Come on out, say hello, grab a cold Bud Light as well. We are refreshed by Bud Light today. The NCAA tournament beginning momentarily. The first game of the day, TCU versus Ohio State. The 8 versus the 9 seed before this officially tips off momentarily. Who you guys got in this one?
I have Ohio State winning this one.
I have Ohio State as well.
I'll go TCU.
No, you had Ohio State. We're all the same, man.
I did have Ohio State,
We're
but
bred
I think
from
it's
the
a
DNA.
legit 50-50 game. I'll take TCU as my rooting interest for the next hour and a half. We will all be taking these games in together. Just a quick warning: there's no way to avoid it. We are going to have to give you the score update
spoilers
throughout the day.
all
so
day.
There will be spoilers. I apologize for it. If you're somebody that wants to go back, I'm sorry, man. But sports radio just might not be the place for you today. We will be giving updates over the course of the day today here on BK and Ferrari.
Nobody TiVos college basketball at March Madness.
TiVo, that's from the past.
You'd be surprised. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. You can check us out on YouTube as well at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. In 15 minutes, we'll talk with our guy Joey Vitale, a little more Blues conversation. But next, we will break down the Midwest region. That's next here on 101. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We're broadcasting live from Helen Fitzgerald's today. Come on out, say hello. Grab yourself a cold Bud Light. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. Fastlane starts at 2, here till 6. We'll be broadcasting live here at Helen Fitzgerald's. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. All right, Alex, we got to get into our NCAA tournament March Madness breakdown, and it is our final region, the last region that we have not been able to get to just yet. It will be the Midwest region. Alex, you want to call it the North? It is not the North. It is the Midwest.
Can I get on a little bit of a rant real quick?
I suppose
This is
so.
stupid. Why do we have 4 regions and there's a East, West, and South, but yet we're not going to put a North and we're going to put a Midwest in there? Like, what are we doing? How about a North, a South, and East, and West? If you're going to do that, why not Midwest, Northeast, Southeast, Mideast? What are we doing? Anyway.
It's not wrong.
It's the
Plains
Midwest,
region.
and it includes
Stupid.
Michigan as your 1 seed, Iowa State as the 2 seed. This is the region that SLU is participating in as well. They will be taking on Georgia later tonight. All right, Alex, let's start this thing the same way that we have for every other region. The game you are most intrigued to see in this region is what?
Well, I'm going to go the hometown favorite, and I'm going to say SLU versus Georgia. And it's mostly because I'm fascinated to see what SLU looks like because of how much they limped down the stretch, but also how Georgia can put up points. Like, I think this might just be a massive blowout in terms of Georgia over SLU, but in terms of the most interest I have in this bracket, I really am more interested in this one because I want to see what SLU looks like.
For me, it's that Miami-Ohio game versus Tennessee. Miami-Ohio, to me, is one of the best stories of the NCAA tournament to get in, even though they had just
You
a one
didn't
loss.
want them in. You
No, I
rooted
did want
against
them in. No, I wanted Miami-Ohio in because I think if you go undefeated in any conference, you belong in the NCAA tournament because, as we see throughout basketball, anything weird can happen to have you lose any game. So I was excited that they got in. Now, I thought they were going to get killed by SMU last night because they flirted with a lot of close games in the MAC. But they played very well last night in that first 4 matchup, and they go up against a Tennessee team that's just kind of slow, defense-first team. And we've talked about in the past, when you're talking about defense-first teams, they're typically the ones that scare me the most when they're in the tournament. And you get Miami, who, as we've seen before, a lot of first 4 teams can build some momentum. I think they're going to ride that momentum and make this an interesting game against Tennessee.
They looked really good last night.
Yeah.
They were impressive. You mentioned a couple of nights ago when we were watching that Texas versus, God, now I'm already blanking. Who'd they play? Oh, NC State. Neither of them looked impressive at all. And
ugly.
you watch that game and you're like, yeah, neither of these teams going on the run. Last night felt different. That was a game where you watch those 2 teams, you're like, all right, yeah, I could see how Miami of Ohio goes on a little bit of a run. So I like that one. The game that I'm going with is the classic 5-12 matchup. Texas Tech, for most of the season, looked the part of a legit contender in the NCAA tournament. They are, however, dealing with an injury to probably their best player in JT Toppin. If he was playing, they would be one of the sleeper teams in this tournament. He's not playing. So they could lose in the first round against Akron. Akron's a team that plays at a really fast tempo, and maybe most importantly, they can shoot the lights out of the ball. And when you've got a team that plays fast and gets up a bunch of threes, and they make a lot of those threes, ooh, that's an intriguing scenario for a potential upset. So I like the look of this. Akron versus Texas Tech is one of those games that I'm going to be very intrigued to see in the first round of the tournament.
That's my upset. Akron beating Texas Tech. I heard Parrish and Norlander talk about that. Without Toppin, Tech has come into a very jump shot friendly team, and they don't really play that physical brand that they do with Toppin. And he said if they play a jumping type of shooting game, he said Akron's going to hang around with them.
They've lost 4 of their last 7. They're not the same team without him.
Yeah, and so I loved that one in terms of just hearing them speak about it. Anytime you're without a player that is the identity of your team, it is very difficult to win in the first round of the tournament.
I have got that as well. It's my upset pick. I've even got them getting to the Sweet 16.
Wow.
I've got them going to the second round. I think the bracket ended up becoming very favorable for them. I mean, you match up against a team without Toppin, as we just talked about, and then Alabama's second leading scorer got arrested earlier in the week, and he's suspended, so he's not playing.
That's not
and
good.
they fly up and down the
man.
floor. And
Every year.
They play so fast that they're going to be able to play in that tempo that Alabama likes to say. I think that's going to be a shootout. They're my upset pick for both this weekend and then or for the first round and then the round of 32.
My upset special in the first round is Santa Clara with a win over Kentucky. Listen, I think they might just be the better team in this game. Santa Clara's a really good team, and Kentucky, you never know what you're going to get out of them. They one night will look fantastic. The next night, they're awful. So I'm going with Santa Clara. This is not the season that any Kentucky fan was hoping for, and now I think you're going to see Coach Cal get a little deeper into the tournament. Kentucky potentially losing in the first round to a team like Santa Clara, and I think a lot of Kentucky fans are going to leave this season with a lot of regret over the way that things have gone over the last 12, 24 months for their squad. Your sleeper team to come out of this region, Alex, is who?
I don't have a sleeper team coming out of the region, but I have one getting pretty deep in the region, and it's Miami of Ohio. To what T-Bone mentioned in terms of most intrigued by it, if Miami of Ohio can ride that, I don't know if you want to call it a Cinderella run or just those momentum energy. If you can beat Tennessee, I think you could take down Virginia, because I heard the guys I love listening to, Parrish and Norlander, I reference a lot. Basically, he said Tennessee and Virginia are kind of the same team. So I think if Miami of Ohio can do that, I think you can get past Virginia, and then you're talking about going up against one of Ohio State, probably Ohio State of the best of the bunch in that next bracket.
Yeah, I don't know how much they are a sleeper since they're the 3, but Virginia's the one for me. Otherwise, I don't see anybody. Once you get past the top 2 in this region, there's nobody that I really like in this region. But Virginia's interesting. They're not your typical Virginia team where they used to be, hey, we're just defense first. It's a race to 55, basically. They play with some pretty good offense now. I don't think they're good enough to get out of the region, but they are the one that if anybody surprises us, they would be the team I would circle.
I just mentioned Santa Clara. They're my sleeper. I don't have them going far enough to actually be this team in my bracket. However, that's because I like Iowa State a lot. If you're somebody that's willing to say, you know what, I don't think Iowa State is quite the team that people are giving them credit for, if Santa Clara wins that game, I don't love either Virginia or Tennessee. So then suddenly they get that big win in round 1 against Kentucky, who I don't think is very good. They get the win in the second round against Iowa State. I think they could beat Virginia or Tennessee in that Sweet 16. They potentially are suddenly in that Elite 8. Now they're playing against Michigan most likely. I think that's where it ends, but Santa Clara is my team that could be a little bit of a sleeper to go further than people are expecting. Who is the team, Alex, that you are most confused by in this region? Is there anybody in particular that you're looking at and you're like, I just don't know what to do with them?
It's kind of Virginia, and I just think it's because of how people were talking about them going into the tournament, being a number 3 seed, feeling like you're this dominant force to where it really seems like people think they could lose either in the first round or the second round matchup, depending on who they go up against.
Yeah, mine's Kentucky. There's nights where you look at Kentucky and you go, wow, that team plays so well, they could beat Iowa State in the second round. And then there's nights where I watch them and I go, oh, my God, they can't even beat, Missouri, for example. What the hell's wrong with Kentucky? They remind me a lot of last year's Illinois team. And I think Illinois was like a 7, if I'm not mistaken, from last year, to where on their best nights you go, wow, this is one of the best teams in the country. But there's just too many nights where you look at them going, they don't even look like a shadow of themselves. So Kentucky's the most confusing team for me in this region.
Tennessee, I think they got a really good draw. I think they can and probably should beat Miami of Ohio. I think Miami of Ohio is a really good team. I was impressed by what they did last night. However, Tennessee should be better than that.
Yeah.
And then they get into the second round. I mentioned, I don't think Virginia's very good. And then they get into the Sweet 16. You've got probably Iowa State, but we'll see what happens with Santa Clara. Tennessee's a team that could go on a run. I just don't know that I trust them. I think they have really good guard play when they're at their best, but we've seen them at times this year very much not be at their best. That being said, they do have the ceiling. They beat Houston this year. They beat Louisville this year. They also had wins against Alabama and against Vandy. So they have the ceiling to go on a little bit of a run. I just don't trust them. They play too slow. You guys know how I feel about teams that play at a slow tempo.
It's funny how that bottom portion of this side of the bracket is like, I don't trust any of these teams.
To be fair,
yeah. It's Iowa State for me. That's why I trust them the most.
Yeah, to be fair, I think this is the one where I trust the 1 and 2 probably the most in the region, because
I
I love that Michigan team. I think they're winning it all. I love that Iowa State team, too. I probably would have them in the Final Four if they weren't in the same region with Michigan.
So you've got Iowa State coming out?
No, I have Iowa State versus Michigan, but I have Michigan winning.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got Michigan getting to the Final Four out of this region.
We've all got Michigan coming out of this region, so we are all the same on that one. Iowa State, though, is a really good team. And I know I mentioned earlier, if you're betting against them, then Santa Clara could be your pick. Iowa State's really good, man. They're a top 20 offense, top 5 defense. They're outstanding, and I do personally trust them to get deep into the tournament. If you are going against them, it's the free throw issue that they have.
There
are a few of the teams in March that you look at their free throw numbers and you're like, man, I'm going to get to the end of this game and I'm not going to feel confident when they step to the free throw line. And that is a scary place to be as a fan or as somebody that bet on them to be able to go deep into the tournament. So Iowa State is that team this year. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We are broadcasting live at Helen Fitzgerald's. Come on out, say hello, watch all the games on the TVs. Right now, we do have Ohio State versus TCU. It's tight early, about midway through the first half, 14-13, TCU up at about 11 minutes to go in the first half. Enjoy some food, a cold Bud Light, 101 ESPN giveaways, and so much more. It's all out here at Helen Fitzgerald's. We'll be here till 2 o'clock. Fast Lane then takes over. They'll be here until 6. March Madness broadcasts are refreshed by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Joey Vitale, Blues analyst, joins us next here on 101 ESPN.
Universal Windows Direct. TCU and Ohio State are off and running. Greenville, South Carolina style. It's an 8-9 matchup to kick off East Region action in the NCAA men's tournament. Right now, those Buckeyes trail 14-13, nearly halfway through half one. 5 minutes from now, 13th seeded Troy facing number 4 Nebraska down south. Tonight at 8:25, Illinois Penn precedes SLU Georgia. Tomorrow, Mizzou battles Miami downtown. Cardinals spring training Quinn Matthews going up against Washington next hour. Yesterday, Kyle Leahy fired 5 scoreless frames as STL topped Houston 4-1. This Sports Center update has been brought to you by Universal Windows Direct.
BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from...
All right, guys, here we go.
You should ask Joey how his bracket is, because remember him how he hates it last year?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We are happy to go out to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by our friend, Blues analyst for 101 ESPN and FanDuel Sports Midwest. He's Joey Vitale joining us here on the show. Joe, appreciate the time, man. How you doing today?
Joey! It's March Madness with Joe Vitale.
Favorite time of the year. And we cannot
And
hear
Joe's
Joe,
not here.
so we will hope to get him back on the line with a connection here momentarily. Joe, you
There's
got
Joe.
us?
No Joe.
I don't think my guess is Joey probably can't hear us.
Or Joey doesn't know he's on the air.
It's one of the two.
Let's
But
play this one out. Let's see what Joe says.
Much more likely, Joey probably can't hear us. We'll see if we can get that
Try again.
figured out.
Check. Joe
Yeah.
Vitale.
I hear you now.
There it is. There he is.
Never a doubt.
What's up, Joey V?
Joey, it's just the NCAA tournament. You knew that it was going to be some kind of shenanigans
Yeah,
today.
and how's that bracket looking, Joe?
Oh, buddy. Oh, let me tell you.
You got
Let me
5 or
tell
6 this year.
Yeah, who you going with, Joe?
Listen, credit time of the year for me. You know, this is where I have to sit down at coffee and Dale is all pissed off because, you know, Hofstra set Alabama, and now his whole Midwest regional's blown up. He's not going to be able to sleep for 2 weeks. Like, I don't care.
Joe, what are you talking about, man? You got a broadcast partner who for the last month has been talking about how Miami of Ohio deserves to be a higher seed.
Also, if his buddy Dale picked Alabama when one of their top 2 players is out for the tournament because he had 2 pounds of marijuana in his car, I don't know, man. That feels like quite the choice.
Tell me more. Bracket said nobody in the history of the world. You might as well tell me about your allergies and how you have a gluten intolerance. I would rather sit in a conversation like that. I will say, though, based off of how Curbs has been all geeked up and about Miami, Ohio, whoever beats Miami, I'm buying that T-shirt. I'm going to support that university for the rest of my life.
Joe, what time of the year do you love more? This time of the year when people talk about the bracket, or Masters season when they see you wear your green jacket and say, hey, Joe, you a big fan of the Masters?
I feel like Joe's probably also a big fan of fantasy football season when people tell him who they
Oh.
drafted.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that as well, said nobody. Hey, the Masters jacket, you know me too well, Alex. I'll never forget the first day I wore that green jacket. I went to a tailor. I'm like, I like that green. He goes, yeah, it's a sharp green. I'll take that one, whatever. I wear it to my son's first communion a few years ago, which was on a Sunday, and everyone keeps giving me, like, the Shooter McGavin fingers. Hey, what, big boy, you watching it today? And I'm like, what is everyone talking about? And finally, he said, oh, it's the Masters. You're wearing Masters green. And I'm like, ever since that day, whenever I wear that jacket, people be like, hey, you a big golf fan? You excited with the Masters? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I hate NCAA brackets. I hate you.
Masters this year.
All right, Joe, let's talk a little bit about these Blues. Last night was a tough one in a shootout, but can we start with the reviews? Have you ever seen 3 overturned goals in a game?
I've never seen it, BK. It's only happened one other time with the Edmonton Oilers since they started doing challenges So a bit of history last night. We thought we'd get to 4. One was kind of close, actually. But I was at the point where every one, by the way, was a legit call. I saw the offside one. The way we were located there at the Scotiabank Saddledome, we're right on the blue line. I mean, we are right on that blue line when that Parayko turnover happened. I saw that puck go out, and that was the first thing I said to Curbs. Curbs, I think he's come back. And that was number one. The high stick by Connor Zeri was another one where it was a double bank. Now, that one was a little bit tricky. I saw that it was a high stick, but once Zeri high sticks it, if Parayko would have touched it, then it would nullify the high stick before he set up that goal. So great camera work once again, and it was almost comical when Farabee stepped offside on the second period goal where I looked right at Jim Montgomery, and he kind of put up his fingers as he was talking to the veteran referee saying, come here one more time, because you kind of felt that something else was coming. But great job by the entire coaching staff, led by Elliot Mondu, who communicates with Jim Montgomery and Davey Alexander, for being on top of it. The unfortunate part was that it still wasn't enough, as the Blues couldn't find a way to get 2 points against a Calgary team that not only has been struggling this year, but struggling at home. Special teams are not very good. So that one was a bit of a dagger last night, as they say.
Joe, what's gone wrong with the secondary scoring? Like, I thought Dvorsky and Stenberg looked really good last night, but, I mean, the Kyrou, Buchnevich, and Neighbors line since the Olympic break has just disappeared, it feels like.
Well, you need depth scoring. There's no question about that. And there are certain lines you give a little leeway to, Alex. You give a little long leash to. The Dvorsky-Stenberg one for me with Duran last night, which I thought at Spurs was maybe our best forward line. You understand that at times it's not going to click. I mean, Otto Stenberg had a couple golden opportunities late in that third period to get the go-ahead goal, and he missed on. So you're getting looks, and you give those young kids breaks. You know, Dvorsky, Stenberg, part of that 23 draft class in the first round. They're learning their ways of the league. You know, they're learning about how to get dialed in. They're learning about how to take advantage of moments in the game, and that's just growing. And you can understand that. You know, the other line that to me it's still disappointing, and I know they're disappointing themselves, is the more veteran line of the depth, which is led by Buchnevich in the middle with Jake Neighbors and Jordan Kyrou. You know, that's a line that you need in games like last night, you know, because the Thomas line's really been carrying things with Snuggerud and Holloway. You know they're going to get tough matchups on the road, right, especially like last night. Like Michael Backlund was all over that Robert Thomas line. They still found a way to get a goal with Dylan Holloway, everyone picking up a point. But they're at times going to get shut down. They're going to get the other team's best top pair of defenders, you know, like we saw last night with Ball all over Thomas. So you need that next group of veteran guys who've been there, done that, to step up in those moments. And I know it's a frustrating one for them again last night, but I would imagine Jim Montgomery is going to continue to kind of recycle some of these veterans to find that presence you need, because you can't have one line doing it all, especially on the road, like I mentioned, with some of the tough matchups.
All right, we'll get you out of here on this. Joey Vitale joining us here on 101 ESPN. Joey, I looked this up earlier today. Jimmy Snuggerud in his last 17 games has 8 goals, 21 points, and he's a plus 13. The last rookie to do that in any 17-game stretch was Michael Bunting back in 2022. Michael Grabner did it in 2011. Those are the only 2 other rookies to do this in the last 30 years. What have you seen from Jimmy Snuggerud in this 15, 17-game stretch?
Yeah, kid that has just accelerated his growth. You know, this is a player that I think you'd be seeing what he's doing now, BK, in probably year 2 or 3. That's how most people grow. You know, but it is just completely excelled since the Olympic break, since his wrist injury, actually. You know, and why not? You know, the kid's been around the game forever. Of course, he's had his dad. He's got great roots as a kid. Been around the game. The intelligence is there. You know, you're starting to see more of the poise with the puck. I talked to Robert Thomas in great detail yesterday before the Calgary game, and we just talked about Jimmy, and he said that, you know, at the beginning of the year, he was in such a rush to make a play. Plays were there, and he would just go. Right now, he's taking an extra second, and then maybe another good play will develop and open up. So he's really admired the way Jimmy, at such a young age, has learned how to take that extra pause and wait for something better potentially to open up. That's number one. And the second thing, like Jim Montgomery said, and you go back to that first goal that Jim scored in Carolina, Jimmy that is, the speed to the neutral zone. He talked about his poise with the puck. He's not afraid to attack the middle. I mean, in that goal in Carolina, that first one really says it all. Speed to the neutral zone, got to the middle. He was surrounded by 4 Carolina Hurricanes, and he's just dancing through all 4. not in a rush to make a play, and then a no-looker shot at the net that ends up beating the goaltender there. So those are the things you look for. Those are the little intangible things that you hear from players and coaches, because we all see the shot. We're starting to see the playmaking ability. But winning one-on-one battles, being patient and driving through the middle of the ice, taking an extra second to make a play. BK, these are all the things that, like I said, it takes you 2, 3, 4 years for a player to really develop. You look at Dalibor Dvorsky as a comparison, and you don't have to compare players, but I think Dalibor's trajectory, that's relatively true for young players. And you're seeing how it's getting better, but it's slow, but there are little steps being taken. And that's normal, right? I think Dalibor's trajectory is completely normal. So then you flip it to Jimmy, and like I said, it's just like on steroids right now for him, where he is just learning at such a rapid rate. He's earned the opportunity to be around great players, and he is really enjoying that, I think, because you see the way he's performing, you see his attitude. He's taken on a little bit more of a leadership role. Robert also told me he's been pretty vocal on the bench, which, again, for a rookie, is pretty remarkable.
Joey Vitale, you'll hear him on the call for the Blues games. Joey, we are on potential upset alert as Troy is up 9-6. It's early,
Watch
but
that
Troy
bracket. Watch that
is
bracket.
up 9-6, 5 minutes in against Nebraska. I know you'll be locked into that one. We'll be locked into all of the rest of the regular season with Joey Vitale on the call, and each and every Thursday when he joins us here on BK and Ferrario. Appreciate the time, Joe.
Hey, appreciate you, boy. You guys enjoy Helen's. That's in my backyard. I grew up in Sunset Hills, so shout out to all you wonderful peeps at Helen's. Love you, Sunset Hillers.
Sunset Hillers, what a nickname. I like that one, Joe.
Joey Vitale joining
Love
us
that
here
guy.
on 101 ESPN. He is right. We are at Helen Fitzgerald's. You can come by, say hello, grab yourself a cold Bud Light. All of our Madness bracket challenge and our Madness broadcasts are brought to you by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. TCU up 24-18, 6 minutes to go in the first half against Ohio State. Told you guys TCU would be able to win that one.
Easy BKO.
Troy up early, 9-6, 5 minutes in against Nebraska. Coming up in about 15 minutes or so, is this the year that we return to Cinderella, or is that all but done in the NCAA tournament? We'll get into that coming up in 15 minutes. Questions and answers next here on 101 ESPN. 2 to 6. Enjoy some food, cold Bud Light. Man, some of this food that's going around right now.
I can't get the smell of the chicken out of my nose, and I really need some.
I'm starting to get a little hungry, and it looks fantastic. They've also got the cold Bud Light going for you guys as well. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Coming up in about 15 minutes, does this finish to the season make you more or less likely to trade Colton Parayko? We'll get into that in just a little bit. The biggest game of the day for the Cardinals, it's actually not their spring training game. I'll tell you what it is next here on 101 ESPN.
Blues and Cardinals co-branded.
Ferrario on 101
I just put money on South Florida. No,
Refreshed by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to
Have they
enjoy.
started yet?
No.
I'm going to wait until they go down to get better odds.
All right, gentlemen, you are live.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. The biggest game for the Cardinals today is not a spring training game.
What?
It's the spring breakout game, Alex.
Oh, spring break. Woo!
Cardinals are participating today in a game against the Washington Nationals, in a game where you're going to see a lot of their top prospects. And this is really where you will see a lot of the work that Chaim Bloom has been putting in this offseason out in the forefront. So today in this game, the pitchers include Liam Doyle.
Oh, yeah.
You will also see at some point Tanner Franklin. And on the hitting side of things, position players, you've got Leo Bernal, you got Ray Rodriguez, you've got Jesus Baez, J.J. Weatherholt, Joshua Baez, Colton Ledbetter, Travis Honeymoon, Ryan Mitchell, Ty Pete. These are the players that the Cardinals are staking their future upon. Mm-hmm. This is what, honestly, in 2029, there's a real chance more players from this game are on the Cardinals than are in the opening day lineup, or really just the 26-man opening day roster for the Cardinals.
If I
this
were to
year.
set the over-under on 3.5 of guys that are on the roster this season that will be on it in 2029, how many would you take?
For the Cardinals,
Yeah.
2029. All right, guys that
Over
I think
3.5.
Let's go ahead and get into this real quick. Guys that'll still be here. I think McGreevy will be here
Yeah,
because he's going to be relatively cheap, cost control. Do you guys agree with that one?
I agree.
I think so, yeah.
Do you think there is another pitcher on the team today that will be here in 2029?
I'm leaning no.
Yeah, I was going to say Liberatore would be my only thought, but I think he might be too expensive by that time.
Yeah, he'll hit free agency years. I don't think you bring him
Yeah,
back.
I'd say no.
May's gone. Maybe
I don't
Leahy,
think
but I think he's
Palante-
getting close to Arb, if I'm not mistaken. Palante, no.
Kyle Leahy will still be under contract in 2029 if they
wouldn't-
want him. He'll be in
yeah.
year 3 of arbitration.
I wouldn't bet him. If I'm being, I don't know that I would still bet on McGreevy, but he's the one that has the best chance.
I think
to
he's
do it.
cheap in a 4 or a 5 in a rotation
Exactly.
for you. So, and he eats
Problem though is he
innings.
pitches to contact where he could have a bad year and he's out of the picture. That's why I say I'm hesitant to put him in.
I think Leahy could be that too, or he could be a bullpen.
and I don't have
piece.
Leahy in it.
I'd go at least one of your pitchers. So
Okay.
I would say McGreevy would be my only option.
I
that's
think
fair.
Ivan Herrera will be here.
I agree.
I agree.
I think Alec Burleson will be here.
I agree.
In
Win, I think,
2029,
would be
they would have to re-sign him, by the way.
I think
Who,
they
Burley?
re-sign. I
Burley.
don't think he's expensive, and I think they re-sign him.
Yeah, I could see him still being here.
I think Mason Wynn will still be here in 2029.
I
He will
agree.
still be under contract, final year of arbitration.
I agree.
So 4. Because I don't think there's somebody else.
So I
There's
should have
nobody
put
in
it
the
at
outfield.
4.5. Victor Scott won't. Jordan Walker won't. Nolan Gorman won't.
I don't know. Victor Scott could be.
Yeah,
I don't think
Scott,
so.
I'm 50-50 on.
I think you
would
set the
lean
number
no.
correct. I would say 4.5 is the right number
Yeah.
for current Cardinals on the 26-man roster that will be here in 2029. Now let's go to the prospects.
Oh, yeah. All of them.
They'll never fail.
I think Ray Rodriguez will be here.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
think he'll be a catcher, but I think he'll be here.
I think J.J. Weatherholt will be here.
He kind of counts already, but yeah.
I think one of those outfielders will be here. I
yeah,
don't know
Baez.
who it will be.
I think 2 of them.
Baez, Pete, Mitchell, Ledbetter, Honeymoon. I think at least one of them will be here.
I think it's Baez or bust, but yeah.
I think Baez and Pete would be
I
the
think
2.
Tanner Franklin will be here. I do not know if it will be as a starter or a reliever, but I think he will be here
I
in
agree.
some capacity. And so then it becomes like, do you think
And
one
Liam
of those
Doyle.
other outfielders will be here, or do you think Victor Scott will be here, for example?
Or
So.
my free agent that I brought in by 2029, hopefully.
Fernando
exactly.
Tatis Jr. when
yeah,
you trade
but-
for him.
Bingo. Just who I was thinking
Bingo,
of.
bango, bongo. Yep, that's it. I mean, look, that lineup that you read off is much more exciting, and that's why you're in a rebuild. Like 2 years ago, just to compare it to the blue side of things, when they were going on that run at the end of the season, I could care less. I was more interested in Jimmy Snuggerud and Dvorsky and all of those other pieces. That's where this is at right now. Like, the season will be entertaining, I guess, if you want to label it that, because it is Cardinals baseball, and people will be locked in on whether Holton, Wynn, and Burleson, and Ivan Herrera, and some of these pitchers. In the grand scheme of things, nobody will care, because they're going to be more focused on AA and AAA when what these guys look like, because we didn't even mention Jurangelo St. Joe, who's
Yep.
another piece that's probably going to be a part of this. Like, The crop you're worried about is the crop that will probably be here in 2028 and beyond, and now you're in the development stage of it all.
Yeah, I mean, most of those guys that are on that, you hope end up panning out. It feels very similar to where they were, though, a couple years ago when they had a big prospect wave coming. Like, let's remember, they had Wynn, Burleson, Herrera, Walker, Gorman, all of them coming up at the same time. Now, they didn't have as interesting pitching, which I think is what makes this exciting. Now, it could totally break and fail, too, but I think that's the part that makes it more exciting, because the last time around it was truly just position players, and then when Liberatore and Zach Thompson flamed out, it was, okay, now what's coming? And that's where they really went thin.
I would also say the other thing that makes it different is who's in charge this time.
100%.
The development system
100%.
should help them be prepared more for the big league level than they were the last time that we saw this kind of a group getting to the big league level, right? So a lot of it comes down to, like, do you trust these guys to develop them the proper way, you know? And maybe for some people the answer is no. I look at what the Boston Red Sox have done after Chaim Bloom was in charge there and the development system that he put in place in Boston, and I think that gives me a lot of confidence that they can and will develop these guys the proper way.
And maybe I'm giving them too much credit here, but there's already some success stories. Like, we're talking about Joshua Baez. Guys, a year ago at this time, we were not talking about Joshua Baez. He would have fallen into the Chase Davis camp of, that guy's a bust right now. You know,
That's
he's
a
not
really
going to
good point.
pan out. And then you look at the pitching side. Bryson Motts was a guy that was kind of a higher draft pick, a lefty that you'd kind of heard about. But let's be honest, everybody kind of forgot about him. And then we got brought up, his name was brought up to us behind the scenes of, hey, keep an eye on this guy. And I remember the time when someone told me that, I went, no, that can't be. This is already alarming by what this new development team's telling us. And they were right. Motts is a guy that was able to add some stuff to his repertoire.
Look at Richard Fitz, the guy that they acquired in a trade. It's a different regime that evaluates talent differently. They see players differently than what the previous one did.
And on that side of things, I would give Ryan Mitchell just as like a player spotlight here today. Ryan Mitchell is somebody that we've had almost zero baseball conversations about, and there's a reason for that. He has not actually taken the field in a Cardinals uniform yet. He was drafted last year with the 55th overall selection. He was a high school player, really toolsy, right? I'm not like prospect guru guy, but I read the reports, and so I've at least got just enough information to have somewhat of an understanding of what kind of a player he projects to be. Super athletic, little bit of pop in his bat, right? In the previous version of the Cardinals development system, I'm not sure I would have had a lot of confidence that this is the kind of player that would get to the big leagues. Because I just didn't trust them to extract that kind of a player and, like, somebody that's very raw, give them the basis from which they could then grasp from once they get to the big league level. Jordan Walker was one of those guys, right? Hell, honestly, a guy that was that before last season was Joshua Baez. High school player, a lot of tools, didn't put it all together under the old regime, did last year once you started to get more of the new regime in place. I'm very curious to see what the development path looks like for Ryan Mitchell. I want to see that, and I'm excited to see him in this game to find out where's he at right now. Is he a guy that can move quickly, or, it took a little while for Joshua Baez. He's 22 years old right now?
Yeah.
That means we're 3 years away from Ryan Mitchell being where Joshua Baez is today. It could take a while for Mitchell as well, but that means when we get to 20 to 29, maybe Mitchell is one of these guys that we're talking about potentially taking a job in the outfield.
It's funny you say 2029. T-Bone's going to see him later today and be like, put him on the Major League roster right now.
You don't let me watch the game.
Get him up right away.
It's a good thing I'm distracted with all the March Madness going on.
That's the hard part of baseball rebuilds, because those guys do take a lot longer to develop and get to the highest level, other than like hockey or.
I mean, it's similar to hockey, I would say.
Yeah, but
because for hockey players, it takes 3 to 5 years for them to really reach their fully formed version.
But sometimes they get hockey players a little taste of the NHL, and then they'll put them into the minors and let them go a little bit longer. Like,
I think
in baseball, you don't even get close to it.
I think the difference in hockey, at least from my perspective, is there are less prospects that extremely fail, right? Like, maybe a guy doesn't live up to a ceiling, but he maybe settles in as like a third-line winger.
You mean in the NHL?
Yeah, but with baseball, it is basically, some guys do end up like going from like, we thought they were going to be the next star to like a bullpen arm, or we thought they'd be a middle-of-the-order bat, and they settle in as a nice like 7-hole hitter that's good defensively. But more often than not, like, we just ran through this list, and we can talk about the idea of, hey, look, we all agree on this desk right here that, hey, new regime, we've already seen some positive returns. this may go better than it did the last time around when we saw this kind of wave of prospects coming.
Yeah.
The odds, though, tell us that it's like 2 guys are really probably going to pan out with 1 pitcher that probably pans out.
Most guys, position player-wise on this list, will become worse major leaguers than Jose Fermin.
Cruel shot at
How
Fermin.
dare
but yeah.
you?
No, I mean, like,
Yeah.
most Cardinals fans today do not want Jose Fermin on the
I
opening
think
day
most
roster.
don't want Walker on the opening day roster. You could have gone after him.
Sure, but
honestly fair.
Fermin, I can't believe this is true. Fermin's a more productive major league player right now than Jordan Walker. So I set the bar a little higher.
Wow. Where
it's
we are
fair.
at as Cardinals fans.
Yeah, and so, like, most of the position players on this list will have a less successful major league career than Jose Fermin.
Yeah.
That's the reality of prospects. And most of the pitchers on this list will have a less successful major league career than Andre Palante.
Yeah.
But some of them will work out. A few of them will become legitimate major league contributors. And the hope is if you can get 3 to 5 of the position players that become really good, like if you simply have Ray Rodriguez become everything he's projected to be, J.J. Weatherholtz become everything he's projected to be, Joshua Baez become everything that Cardinals fans right now hope he becomes, that's a win. You've already succeeded on the position player side of things. And then if you get Liam Doyle to become what he's projected to be and one other pitcher hits, one of them, that's good enough from this list right here for what the Cardinals are looking for. And then you continue to supplement that with the talent in this year's draft, the talent in the next draft, the talent in the next draft, and you go out and win some of these trades. Maybe Durangelo St. Joe works out. Maybe you end up getting some positive returns from Dobbins or Fitz this year, and you're able to continue to go out there and make some moves in free agency. That's what the core needs to look like. So it doesn't have to be all of these players that work out. 3 to 5 of them becoming good, consistent major leaguers, that's a win. That's what it means to have a high-level system in today's major leagues. All right, alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We are broadcasting live from Helen Fitzgerald's. Come on out, say hello, hang out with us today. We are having a great time. We're seeing all of these the games on the big screen TVs out here at Helen Fitzgerald's. An update for you guys when it comes to the current scores. We've got 3 games currently in progress. Nebraska versus Troy is at the half. Nebraska went on a heater.
Yeah, they
Finish out
did.
the half. Nebraska up 41-25 against Troy. Ohio State is still trailing, but they've at least closed the gap a little bit. TCU up 43-33 with 14 minutes left to play in that one. That is going to be the first final of the day's action. And we do have action between South Florida and Louisville. About 5 minutes in, South Florida and Louisville are tied in a low-scoring affair, 7 points apiece. You can come on out, say hello, watch all these games along with us. Grab yourself a cold Bud Light. Our coverage today at Helen Fitzgerald's is refreshed by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Coming up next, does the finish to this season make you more or less likely to trade Colton Parayko? We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
Horned Frogs honing in on a dub. I'm Bradford Bruns with your Sports Center update presented by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Right now, today's East Region opener finds TCU leading OSU 46-40, 11:43 remaining as that 8-9 tilt winds down. Elsewhere, Nebraska now paces Troy 41-25. South Florida, Louisville just tipped off. Wisconsin High Point will do likewise at 12:50. Much more NCAA tournament first round action tonight, including Illinois Penn as well as St. Louis University, Georgia. Matinee spring training, Quinn Matthews currently dueling against Washington. Cardinals won, Nats won through an inning plus there. Hockey-wise, Jim Montgomery's Blues are idle until this weekend's bout versus Vancouver. Your SportsCenter update was powered by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from Helen Fitzgerald's for our...
All right, guys, here we go.
Refreshed by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
And you're live.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Ohio State went on a bit of a run there, 10-0
Yeah,
run.
buddy.
Then TCU made a couple of shots. 46-40, about 11 minutes left in that game. TCU up by 6. South Florida currently down 11-7 against Louisville. About 13 minutes left to play in that one. Nebraska versus Troy still at the half with Nebraska in the Big Ten pulling away at the end of that first half. 41-25 is the halftime score in that game. All right, Alex, Blues in action last night, and man, a really impressive night once again for Logan Mailloux, who's had pretty impressive close to this season now, all things considered. I'm curious, does the finish to this season for the Blues make you more or less likely to trade Colton Parayko as they attempted to do at this year's deadline?
I would say less likely because I don't think it has anything to do with how Mailloux is playing and everything to do with what the team is going to offer you for Colton Parayko. Like, I think even if Mailloux were to struggle the rest of the way, let's be honest, at the trade deadline was still struggling. They were willing to trade Colton Parayko because the return was just too good to pass up. And that's where I feel like they're at with a lot of these guys in terms of they're going to go into the deadline and look at it and say, look, Mailloux made some real good growth. We feel very comfortable with him being a guy that could play 18, 19 minutes a night. Hell, he's playing about 20 right now, at least in the last stretch of games. But we're not going to just trade Colton Parayko for something that doesn't benefit us right away unless you're just not going to. So, like, Mailloux can look like a top-pair defenseman by the end of the season, and I think they'll still look at it as what is the other side going to provide us in terms of Colton Parayko, because I think they were willing to trade Parayko for Mertka in that first-round pick, because that's a 9th overall pick that I don't know if they thought they could get in return for Parayko, and I have to imagine they believed that Mertka was going to play for their NHL roster next year. I looked at this, though, because I think the question you're asking isn't so much about Mailloux, but more Jiricek.
It's a little bit of both.
Because I think a lot of people would say Jiricek's going to be on the roster next year. But I compared it to the draft prior to Jiricek in terms of defensemen that were taken in the first 16 picks, because next year will kind of be in that same timeline as Jiricek being drafted. The two guys that were drafted above where Jiricek was selected the year prior was Tom Willander, who has made his NHL debut this season for Vancouver, and Dmitry Simashev, who made his debut for the Utah Mammoth. Simashev, who is a part of a team that's trying to compete, is averaging about 15 minutes a night. Willander, who is playing on a bad Vancouver Canucks team, is averaging about 16 minutes a night. So that would tell me that I think they'll view Jiricek next year as the third-pair defenseman, to where he's going to get probably about 15 or 16 minutes. I'm saying all this to say this. If you're going to trade Parayko, who's filling that spot to eat a lot of minutes if Mailloux has a setback? So I don't think Mailloux's performance matters.
I think this becomes more of a conversation at deadline again next year, which we'll see if Parayko's open-minded to it at that point, and it's his right to say no. But my fear would be if you traded Parayko in the offseason, you would get the returns on Jiricek like you did on Mailloux in the first half of the season. And then immediately, I mean, we saw what they did with Mailloux. They sent Mailloux down for a 2-week stretch. And then we're having that conversation we had at the beginning of the season going, okay, what are we going to do with the defense, right? We can't keep riding our top guys. I think your chick's going to have those growing pains just like Mayu did. So I think if you're the Blues, I think it becomes more of a conversation at the trade deadline, if not the following offseason, when Juracek gets his feet wet, you see him develop, and then when he shows the same signs that Mayu has, then maybe you have that conversation of moving on from a Colton Parayko to where then you can get both Mayu and Juracek in your top 4, and then at that point you're looking at Parayko as the third guy, and he wouldn't be that.
So, Alex, the reason why I said it's a little bit of both, like why I'm saying this is some of it is on Mayu, it's because it's about your direction. If you're trying to win next year, I don't think you can reasonably expect to trade Colton Parayko and also contend in this upcoming season. And so the finish to this season, to me, is really about how much are you buying this? Because last year we fell for it, right? They had this unbelievable post-Four Nations face-off, and they went to the playoffs seconds away, literally, from advancing to the second round of the NHL postseason. Came back this year, and I was like, all right, that was the start of this new era of Blues hockey. And then you get in, and it's a big thud right off of the bat once again. And it looked the exact same way that it did prior to the Four Nations face-off a year ago. So it felt, we all thought, like last year's Four Nations face-off post that was the exception as opposed to the new reality.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing it again, where it looks good. The top line looks as though it's come into form. The defense looks like it's a heck of a lot better. The goaltending, once again, looks like it's top 5 in the NHL. So can they build this out to where you come into next season and you feel good about it again, and you do think they can get right back into contention, and they can be a legitimate playoff contender? Or are you ready to strip this thing down even further, probably set you back more than what you were this year, and expect to be a non-playoff contender for at least another year? I think that's really where the decision is made on Colton Parayko, because if that's how you view it, the latter of not being a contender again, there's really no reason to have Parayko unless he just wants to be here.
Yeah, and I will say this, like, they value having veteran presence around younger players, and I'm not saying Doug Armstrong, I'm saying Jim Montgomery values that. I think there's going to be more turnover than just roster players. I don't know if Mike Weber's going to be back here next season, and if they're bringing in another defensive coach, what do they value that in terms of? They probably are keeping Cam Fowler. You'll have Broberg and Fowler as two veterans to play with Mayu and Juracek, so maybe they value that.
Exactly.
I think Parayko is tied to Robert Thomas. If they trade Robert Thomas, I think Colton Parayko is as good as gone in terms of if he wants to go. If they keep Robert Thomas and say, no, we think he's a part of this solution for us, then I think you keep Colton Parayko because of what you said. You're trying to not compete for a Stanley Cup, compete for a playoff spot. Correct. And continue in the retool direction. They will view it as, hey, Colton Parayko is a good enough player for us to continue to win, but it also comes down to just what the return looks like. I mean, if somebody comes to the table and says, look, we're going to give you the equivalent of what Buffalo was offering, redeem Murtka and a first-round pick. If New Jersey wants Colton Parayko for some crazy reason and says, we'll give you Simone Nemec, or if LA says, we've got Brant Clark and we'll offer him up for Parayko, you pull that deal if you're the Blues because it makes more sense for the timeline of where you're at. I'm more concerned of where they're going with Thomas because I think Thomas is the North Star of what direction the Blues are going with the rest of their roster.
He's Alex, that's T-Bone, I'm BK. 49-47, Ohio State making this one close against TCU. About 8 minutes left to play in that one, so we will continue to keep you updated on any scoring updates as they happen in TCU versus Ohio State. Ohio State just made a big 3 in that one to make it close. Louisville up 17-11 against South Florida. Troy versus Nebraska still at the half. Nebraska up by 16. And we have tipped off High Point versus Wisconsin. About a minute and a half into that one.
Watch out.
Wisconsin up 5-3 in the very, very early going. We are broadcasting live today out at Helen Fitzgerald's. Come on by, say hello. We've already got a pretty packed house in here, to be honest with you. It's fantastic. Can't ask for a better atmosphere. They've got all the cold Bud Light that you could ask for. Great food as well. Plenty of screens to watch all of the games. We've got all 4 games easy to consume right here, right in front of us out here at Helen Fitzgerald. So come by. It's all refreshed by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Coming up in 10 minutes, which Cardinal could be this year's version of Ivan Herrera or Alec Burleson? We'll get into that coming up at the top of the hour. Junk Drawer is next here on 101 ESPN.
first round of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Refreshed by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
Let's open it up. The Junk Drawer with BK and Ferrario.
And you're up.
All right, Alex, I've got a question for you. How many of these 10 foods do you think T-Bone eats with regularity?
Oh, God. If this is like what your toddler eats for food, then I'm in.
This is a list of
Dino
the
nugs.
100 unhealthiest foods on the planet, according to science. I'm going to go through the first 10
All of them.
to see how many of them
Guess this will determine
Tanner
if I'm dead by
eats
30.
at least, let's say, 3 times a week.
Okay.
on
3
average.
times a week. Okay.
Potato chips.
Oh, 100% yes.
Actually, no. I do not eat potato chips that much. No.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I eat
I
them
used to.
more
I
than I
don't.
should.
I don't anymore.
I've
No.
gotten big into veggie straws, though. My girls eat them all the time.
I can't do those. I'm out.
I hate to be the very bad news. Also not good for
Nah,
you.
they're healthier.
It's all fake.
It's got veggie in the name. It's got to be.
Yeah.
They're healthier.
Yeah.
They're green and yellow and orange like vegetables. It's zucchini. It's
Yeah, exactly.
it's squash and it's carrots.
Ice cream.
Okay. In the summer, yes. In the winter, no.
You were
I just
five.
bought ice cream yesterday, and I bought waffle bowls to put it in.
T-Bone's the guy that when he's sitting in his apartment at about 8 o'clock at night, he's like, I could go for a dilly bar right now, and finds his way over to Dairy Queen.
can't?
I
What?
love me a dilly bar. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Processed red meat. We're talking all the things that Alex
Oh,
meets.
God, I
He
eat all
eats.
of those. I have a little.
Not so much.
I have a baggie of like salami and pepperoni that I'll just eat when I'm bored.
yeah, no,
Really?
That's not
Oh,
me.
my God,
Yeah,
yes.
That's not me.
I just
Instant
eat-
ramen. This has
That's
T-Bone
not me.
written all over it.
Surprisingly, that is not
That's
me.
Really?
I didn't even
T-Bone.
do ramen in college. So
I didn't
no.
either, man. I hate ramen.
Boy, I must live. I'm gonna live till I'm 100 already.
Calm
so
down.
far in
That's
this
just the
list.
bottom 10.
Oh.
Store-bought cake.
No, I don't do that.
No, I
one.
make my own cake.
I was surprised by this one. Crackers.
Are they meaning like Ritz crackers?
Yeah. Not really. Maybe in like
They
the
basically
winter.
have zero nutritional value.
I
I
would
eat
say
these.
I fall for that sometimes in the winter as a snack because I'll buy it for like soups and stuff, and then it's there, and I'm like, man, I'm peckish, so I'll go for Ritz crackers.
What'd you just say?
Peckish.
What's peckish?
Hungry.
You're 100 years old.
Who says that? That's what Bradford would say.
Yeah. And Bradford's a great scholar when
There's
it
a
comes to
peckish.
vocabulary.
I don't use Ritz crackers. I only use saltine crackers.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
more Ritz
It's like what
crackers
my
than-
family go. Like Katie eats them all the time when she's like when her stomach's upset. She'll just munch on saltine
I
crackers.
prefer saltines over Ritz. I'm
Oh,
not a big
really?
Ritz cracker guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
Doesn't
more
I
of a
used
Ritz
to be
guy.
when I was younger, but not as much anymore.
The next one is what my weakness is: tortilla chips.
Yeah, see, I don't do chips
They're
really.
so bad for you, but dude, I can like
Yeah.
you go to a Mexican restaurant, I will house the first offering of tortilla chips before my food even arrives.
I make this thing called like cowboy guacamole where it's corn, black beans, pico, and I just eat it with tortilla chips at home. Like I buy these
For sure.
lime tortilla chips, and that's like my snack. I will just eat it because I'm having vegetables
All right, what
with
we're
my
learning
lime.
is we're actually more
Yeah, it's
unhealthy
actually
than
you
T-Bone.
guys.
We exercise though, right, T-Bone?
Other things that are further down
sure.
on this list, and these are the real bad ones.
Was that the top 10, by the way?
Those were like
Okay.
It's not technically in order, but it's a list of the 100 worst things for you.
Okay.
I saw on here was hot dogs,
What? No
That's-
way.
that's
That
what really-
should be number one.
charred meats, energy drinks. Are you an energy
I
drink
don't.
guy,
I'm
T-Bone?
coffee. Coffe's the only thing I do.
I-
I've never been an energy.
I
drink
was
guy.
energy drink from about my junior year of high school until about my junior year of
I'm
college.
so outliving you guys. I'm
Frozen
so excited.
pizza.
Oh yeah, I'm bad on that
Dude,
one.
I don't do frozen. I make my
Especially-
own pizza now. I
See,
don't do frozen pizza.
I'm bad on the frozen pizza because like that's an easy go-to one, especially a week where I've been busy doing play-by-play on the side.
Mayonnaise. You know I don't mess with
Calls
that
it
stuff.
Mayonnaise.
Nah, I hate mayonnaise. I'm
Yeah.
out.
I put mayonnaise like when I'm mixing stuff. I won't eat mayonnaise by itself.
Had I had to do that punishment where BK had that, what was it, butter, mayo, and onion sandwich,
Oh.
I truly would have thrown up.
I didn't realize that like mayo is a really good substitute if you don't have eggs. Because obviously it's like basically made out of eggs. So like
Yeah.
we were making pancakes one morning and we didn't have eggs and so
Oh,
we put
did it with mayo?
Dude, you don't even
Oh.
taste it.
Oh.
You taste the pancake mix, you taste the like vanilla and everything, you
Oh.
don't taste the mayo. I'm like, this is amazing. And you can make your own mayonnaise. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Dude, Katie
Well,
and I
you know
are in
you
this
can
like
make
trip
anything you
right
can
now.
buy at the
You
store
could
you
like
can make.
I know, I make everything now. Like
It's
we
more
make our own
expensive
butter.
to do it that way.
Actually,
Yeah.
it's not. It's heavy whipping cream. That's what we do. You can make your own butter.
The eggs itself is like
Or
the
do you have
same
your own
as if you were
do
to
you have
buy.
a Vitale farm?
I want to get a chicken. I've told Katie, like, I want to get chickens. And
I mean,
she's
that's
like, I'm
how
not-
you would make it. Well,
She's like, how are you going to take care of that? But I'm like, well, you'll
I have
do it, not
3
me.
girls to take care of it.
But like, if I'm only buying eggs and flour, I can make so much. I don't buy peanut
I
butter.
love how you discovered this.
I don't buy peanut butter. I don't buy butter. I don't buy mayo anymore.
What do you do for peanut butter now?
I make it myself. You buy nuts and you just mix it and blend it until it turns into peanut butter.
Are you doing like almond
Don't you
butter
have-
instead nowadays?
Don't you
well,
have to
no,
put
we have to
the-
buy the almond butter because
That stuff's expensive.
that's
man.
very expensive. And my girls can't have peanut butter because of nut allergies at school. So we have to do almond or no, not almond, sun
So
butter
that's
is
why
what
you're
we
not
do.
buying peanut butter
Yeah,
anymore.
there you go.
No, I use peanut butter on everything at my house.
All right, so we just learned, as much as BK wanted this to be a segment that pointed out my flaws with my eating habits, it actually exposed you two more, which is just chef's kiss.
Ohio State has officially overtaken TCU 55 to 53. 6 minutes
Big
left to
Ten.
go in that one. Louisville, I don't think the South Florida call is going to work out for us. Louisville's
I
up
should
24 to 11 with 6 minutes to go in the first half. Wisconsin in a tight one, about 8 minutes in against High Point, 15 to 12 in that game. And Nebraska back in action, about 4 minutes gone in the second half. Nebraska up 44 to 32 against Troy, so about a 12-point margin in that one. We will continue keeping you updated with all of the games as they progress here on BK and Ferrario. We are broadcasting live today out at Helen Fitzgerald's. Come on by, say hello, grab yourself a cold Bud Light. Our broadcast today is refreshed by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Coming up next, which Cardinals could be this year's version of Herrera or Burleson? We'll talk about it here on BK and Ferrario.
BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from Helen Fitzgerald's for our tournament tip-off party.
Refreshed by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
You're up.
All right, Alex, I remember last season we went into the year and we had a lot of conversations about how much it was going to come down to Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman. And is there a scenario in which that could be a successful season without those guys taking the next step? And at first we hemmed and hawed about it. I was like, I don't know. Those guys are kind of who you're tying this build to.
Well, fast forward.
And I think that ultimately there was a scenario. It just had to include two different players. It was Ivan Herrera as that right-handed bat that they were seeking, and Alec Burleson becoming the left-handed bat that they were looking for. Do they have the same ceiling as Walker and Gorman? Maybe not. But those guys can still become two prominent members of the future for the St. Louis Cardinals. So I want to ask the same thing this year, because I think so much has been tied this season to J.J. Weatherholt. And our hope is that J.J. Weatherholt just hits the ground running. He becomes a great player right away. He's basically Brendan Donovan 2.0, but with other qualities that he's able to add to the table, like his great speed that he has on the bases and maybe a little bit more pop. But we'll see. Are there any other young players, though, that could be that? Like this year's version of Burleson or Herrera, who came into the season a little under the radar. You got to remember, Burleson wasn't even in the starting lineup on opening day of last year. Do you have anybody that immediately comes to mind for you?
Not on this roster, but I think Joshua Baez falls into this category. And I think we've talked about it a lot. Probably not until June, July, where you start having the conversations. But, man, if he tears it up and they bring him up around that time frame and he looks like a piece that can contribute at the major league level, that's a success in my book, because now you're starting to reap the rewards of these guys that you've put into the development. So I think he's one of those. I think on the pitching side of things, you're going to be talking about Fitz. You'll talk about Quinn Matthews. I do think there's a lot of outs for this to be a success in terms of beyond J.J. Weatherholt, because there are a couple of fringe guys that can touch the major leagues at some point this year.
Yeah, I agree. The only bat for me would be Baez. And he comes up whenever that might be, and he ends up putting together a really good 3-month, 4-month, 2-month stretch for the Cardinals. And you look at him and go, man, it really feels like he's pieced this together, and we'll see what it looks like in 2027. Because outside of him, there's not a lot of guys on the roster that I look at. Like, Wynn would be one that I would be hopeful on, but I'm just not even seeing signs from him. I get it because spring stats don't matter, but I don't see a lot from him in spring that tells me, yeah, he's really going to put together a year where he ends up being like 15, 20% above league average, which I thought was possible for him when he first got up here. I think he's going to settle in as like a league average bat that's Gold Glove defense at short, which is a good baseball player. I think the odds are that if we're going to see this kind of who becomes the Burleson, who becomes the Herrera, the kind of surprise takeover, and they're kind of the part of the rebuild, it's going to be on the pitching side. I think that's where you could see guys emerge where, like, maybe Leahy's the one that really puts it together. And, okay, now you really found a starter that could be like a number 3. Maybe Liberatore fixes the velo issues and puts together like a sub-3.5 ERA for them this year. Or maybe it is Quinn Matthews comes up in, like, July and just kind of solidifies himself as a hard-throwing lefty that can be part of the rotation. I think it's on the pitching side this year where you're going to see more of those surprises than it is on the offensive side.
So you guys mentioned Baez. He's a really good one. He's still got that ceiling that we were talking about with Jordan Walker. That's some of that stuff exists with Baez, maybe not to the same degree, but a fun player nonetheless. I've got a couple others that I'll throw into the mix on the position player side of things. One of them, T-Bone will just outright dismiss, and that's fair. We haven't seen a whole lot of it at the big league level, but I'm still leaving the light on for Thomas Ajayci. I think there's still something in there. And when you look back at what he has done in the minor leagues, 2023 in the minor leagues, he was 30% above league average. He hit 300 that year and slugged 530. So when T-Bone tells you there's no pop in his bat, Alex, he's going to tell you that it's not true. He had 26 home runs that season in 139 games. There is pop in that bat. It's about getting it to produce at the big league level. Last year in AAA, he was 30% above league average offensively. So when he goes down, he produces. He's got to find a way to translate that to the big league level. I remember we did this. I don't think he has the same tools as this player, but we did this a lot with Tyler O'Neill, where Tyler O'Neill would go down to AAA, he'd have a ton of success, he'd get up to the big league level, and it wasn't just offensively. It was also defensively. He would make weird mistakes where it's like, they've told us that this guy's a Gold Glove defender. I don't see it. And then eventually we finally saw it all come together for him at the big league level when healthy. So I'll go Thomas Ajayci as one of them. The other, and this one I don't personally believe
I
in.
really hope you're not going to say who I think you're going to say.
I don't buy it. But I'm going to give you the numbers for a player last season at the minor league level. This includes every step that he took.
So it's not the guy I thought you were going to say.
In 86 games in 385 plate appearances, he hit 330. He got on base 39% of the time, and he slugged 525. Nathan Church was 45% above league average last year offensively in the minor leagues. He got up to the big league level, looked overmatched. I didn't see it. I still don't believe in it, Alex. I don't think this guy is somebody that's going to have success. But if you're like T-Bone and you believe in the spring training numbers, he's walking as often as he's striking out. He is hitting for a little bit of pop. He does have legitimate speed. He's a really good defender. He's got a cannon of an arm. They seem to really like the makeup for this player. He's 25 years old. If it's going to happen, this is probably around the time when it would happen. And he's got an opening because there's nobody in that outfield right now that looks clearly like not only an answer for right now, but also for the future. Church could surprise us the way that Brendan Donovan did. And we were talking about Victor Scott, we were talking about Jordan Walker, we're talking about Sajayci, we're talking about all these other dudes, and I just kind of dismissed Nathan Church as even an option in the outfield.
Yeah, I remember that last year.
Yeah. I continue to do so right now, where I'm like, yeah, fourth outfielder. There's nothing more. Fourth outfielder. I think Donnie was kind of dismissed that way early on, where I was like, yeah, that's fine. He's cute. Nice story. That's a Jeremy Hazelbaker. Gorman's the one that you want to circle that has the real potential out of the two. And eventually it was like, yo, I can't deny this guy. He's just better. He's a better baseball player than Nolan Gorman. And we eventually got to that place. Maybe Church could also sneak his way into that conversation.
I mean, I don't mind it. I think Nathan Church can. I just don't think Nathan Church becomes a piece that I look at and be like, oh, man, this is going to be a pivotal piece of your team. I think he comes away and he looks like a complimentary piece. He looks like a good piece and a good option to have as a fourth outfielder that can step in. And I'm fine with that. I don't think that changes the mindset of, oh, man, what a successful season if Nathan Church goes off.
I think if he can hit, I think he becomes the center fielder for this rebuild.
Well, that's who I thought you were going to say was Victor Scott, and I'm like, I have no stock in that.
And the reason I bring that up with Church is, like, I mean, watching Church last year, we know how much they value defense, or they did. I still think they will, especially in the center field spot. You couldn't tell a difference between Scott and Church's defense. Church was right there with them defensively. Yep. It's now a matter of whose bat's going to emerge, because if Church can hit, I think there is a real chance that he could potentially become that guy if they're willing to give up in part on Scott there. I don't know if they will be.
You could also just play him in left for now.
Sure.
You don't have to give up on Scott right now.
If Walker's bad early on.
And that's the other thing. One thing that I think could hurt him, especially early on, I don't know how many at-bats he's getting. Like, I think if he's going to be able to find a rhythm, he's almost got to be a guy that plays like 4 times a week. And I don't know if they're going to get him those at-bats.
That's kind of why I wonder if they put him in AAA versus Thomas Ajayci.
See, I think he needs to show it at the big league level. Like, I think that there is nothing left. He's also getting older now. He's going to be like 25, 26 years old. If he is going to show it, it's got to be now. And I don't mind having him as the fourth outfielder. He's got that defensive value. He can go play anywhere in the outfield. He's already shown it and proven it in center field. He's a good base runner as well. Like, he's got all of the qualities that you would want as that fourth outfielder. So I'm good with him being in that role to start things out. The other thing that kind of plays into this for those lack of at-bats, it's Ivan Herrera having to be the DH.
Yeah.
Because if Herrera could just start out the season playing 2 out of every 3 days behind the plate, suddenly you do have more openings where, like, Nelson Velazquez could get more opportunities as a DH as opposed to having to start every day in left field.
100%.
And now you've got those opportunities open up for Church. So maybe it's 4 days a week you have Velazquez at DH, and in those 4 days, Church is in left field. And then 1 day a week you get him in center, and 1 day a week you get him in right. And now he's a full-time player, just not with a true full-time spot. But you're probably only going to see him 2 or 3 days because of Ivan Herrera being as the catcher maybe 1, maybe 2 days a week early on in the season. So it all goes takes away opportunities.
I think it all goes back to Jordan Walker, too, where the pressure is going to be on him, and it's going to be on all angles. It's New Park coming back. It's Nathan Church. It's Joshua Baez. Like, that leash is not going to be very long for him. And as much as I've said you don't send him down and you continue to play him, I still believe all of that.
Yeah.
But if Church continues to hit, if Newbar gets healthy, those two guys may be pushing Jordan Walker out by about May or June.
From the
Yeah,
3-1-4.
No, not there, man.
Guys, what you're saying is exactly why he could be a good candidate for this. We said the exact same thing at this time last year about Alec Burleson. It's a good point because he was pushed out of the lineup too.
He was
And-
hard to really find at bats for.
Because you couldn't get it at first base because of Wilson Contreras. There
Left
was
field
no
was
real
Newbar.
opportunity at DH because of Ivan Herrera. Left field Newt, right field Walker. What's the opportunity for him? It didn't really exist. And then eventually you just couldn't deny it. It was very clear, like, yeah, that guy's got to be in the lineup. We'll find the spot for him. He pushes whoever else out of the lineup.
Now we're talking about how the hell did he get at bats last year? Who did we bench?
Somebody got injured?
Was it Newbar that got hurt?
I
Is
think
that
it was
what happened?
injury, yeah.
Okay.
And then when he got that opportunity,
Took off and ran.
he
with
ran
it.
with it, and there was no real way to get those other guys in the lineup. So that could be the way that Church finds his way in. Is somebody gets hurt, you don't root for this, but somebody gets hurt, he gets a chance, and then he runs with it the same way that we saw last year with Alec Burleson. Updates on the scores for you guys here on BK and Ferrario. It's coming down to the wire. TCU up 60-59 with a minute 45 to play. TCU right now at the free throw line. Louisville up 31-22 with about a minute and a half to go in the first half. Wisconsin is up 34-26, about 6 minutes to go in the first half in that one. And finally, Nebraska is officially pulling away. It's 65-40. Nebraska over the 13 seed Troy. Remember when that one was close? That was fun, huh?
That's a shame. That's a shame.
So
At
the
least my
first
bracket's intact.
quote-unquote Cinderella story of the day, Troy looks to be fading into the background as Nebraska's
Cinderella's
up by
dead.
That slippered in
25
fifth.
points with 8 minutes left to play. Coming up here in about 15 minutes or so, we'll get into some NFL quick hitters, but we do have college football news. We'll get into this on the other side. Missouri has made an interesting announcement. We'll get to that next year on 101 ESPN.
Broadcasting live from Helen Fitzgerald's for the first round of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Refreshed by Bud Light.
21,
Easy to
I'll go
drink,
at it.
easy to enjoy.
I'll go better odds.
I think you're going to get worse odds now.
And you're live.
All right, we've got some interesting games playing right now. We've got TCU versus Ohio State. 27 seconds left in this one, and it is tied up at 64 points apiece.
I'm invested.
TCU went down, made a huge three with about a minute to go. Ohio State then comes back. They had a whole lot of nothing going offensively. End up settling for a contested step-back three, absolutely drain it, and find a way to knot this thing up at 64 points apiece. About 5 seconds left to go, and you're about to hear quite the response. I would say this is quite an Ohio State-heavy crowd here at Helen Fitzgerald's
Go Buckeyes.
today. TCU
Come on, Brutus.
just put a layup in. It is 66-64 with
the
about
D in the
5
paint?
seconds
That's
left.
a shame.
In the first half, Louisville is up by 10. That one just getting to halftime, 37-27 over South Florida. Really intriguing one. Wisconsin up 37-35 with 3 minutes left in the first half against High Point. That's the classic 12-5 matchup. High Point was a very trendy upset pick, and they're holding their own in this one, too.
And going into halftime, that's going to really put that pressure on that higher seed in Wisconsin. And Wisconsin has a lot of Illinois vibes. And what I mean by that is when they're right, their offense looks good, and they're able to kind of blow things out. But right now, the offense kind of sputtered a little bit there in a stretch to get High Point back in it. They're not good enough defensively.
I was going to say, they can't get stops.
If they can't get stops, High Point's going to keep it close and continue to add that pressure. I'm telling you right now, I'm thinking High Point's going to be a money line pick for me, live bet here at halftime.
It's a math game right now. High Point has taken 33 shots in this game. 19 of them have been from beyond the arc.
Smart.
When you're taking that many threes, you give yourself so many opportunities. They've made 5 of them. They're not doing a ton from beyond the arc right now, but it's just enough to keep the game close. Meanwhile, Wisconsin is 6 for 13 from beyond the arc themselves. So that one is one we will certainly be paying attention to throughout the rest of the afternoon. We are broadcasting live today out at Helen Fitzgerald's. Come by, say hello, grab a cold Bud Light. The Fast Lane will be starting coming up at 2 o'clock. T-Bone, you're hanging around with them?
I'll be here for an hour
little
on the
T-Bone.
Fast Lane. I don't know if Carrie knows that or not, but I'll be here for an hour.
Is Marshy here today?
Yeah, Marshy's here today.
So it's T-Bone, Carrie, and Marshy for the first hour. I believe 3 to 5 is
Jackson will be joining them. Yep.
He's going to hang out. So come on by, say hello, grab yourself a cold Bud Light. Our
Sweet Jesus, not a half-court shot.
March Madness,
Darn it!
Coverage here at
Would you have
101
Ohio
ESPN
State?
Shoot!
is refreshed by Bud Light. We have our first final of the day as Ohio State goes down. TCU, as I predicted earlier today, will be advancing to the second round of the NCAA
I saw
tournament.
your brackets.
66 to 64.
Darn it.
I teased before the break. Mizzou has a bit of an update. They're not making this thing go into the regular season this time around, Alex. They have decided we've seen enough. The quarterback competition is already over. Austin Simmons has officially been named QB1 for Mizzou. This is not a huge surprise. It was always expected when they got him out of the portal, when he announced that he's entering the portal with a no-contact tag and that he would be going to the University of Missouri before officially getting into the portal. That's when he was named QB1 unofficially. It's now been done. I'm glad they didn't drag this thing out. Make it clear that's the guy. Zollers, get prepared for 2027, maybe 2028. But for right now, Austin Simmons is your guy. Name him as the guy. Everybody knows it going into fall camp.
Yeah, I mean, you've done this the last couple of seasons where it's been like, oh, it's a quarterback battle. And the first couple of games have been, you'll get a half, and then you'll get a half. Just go with the guy. Tell the guy to prepare for an entire offseason. You are the number one quarterback. That's the reason you went out and got Austin Simmons, was because you said, we need to go get the guy. We need to go get an upgrade. So I'm glad they're doing this, and you're right. Tell Zollers, it's like, look, man, next year it's all you.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They're doing spring practice right now, right?
They just finished.
Okay, yeah. So what this tells me, they were very impressed by what they saw. Because otherwise, I think they would have done the same thing they did with Bo. I mean, Bo, we all knew pretty much, hey, that's probably QB1. You go get him in the portal. We didn't know what the money was, but we knew they gave him a bag to come and transfer and be the quarterback. And they decided to go kind of hush-hush all the way up until the first game, and may have even done that had Horn not gotten hurt in game number 1. I think this, to me, tells me they were very impressed by what they saw and felt like, yeah, you know what, let's just get ahead of it. Let's name him the starting quarterback. There's no need for Zollers to kind of think that he's still in it. We'll have our conversation with him. I think that's probably a good sign for Missouri.
I think it's a great sign. It's the first time they've had a true established quarterback going into the season since Brady Cook.
Yeah.
Since the final season of Brady Cook. Because even Brady had to, hold off Sam Horn a couple of times. We all knew he was very likely going to be the starter, but they did this whole charade, and that's why I wasn't sure what they would do this time around. I think we all knew in our heart of hearts last year what the situation was, and that Bo Prabula was going to be the starter. But they pretended as if that wasn't the case, and so we were all on the outside looking in, wondering, are we sure? And then I think even going into the season, I remember the announcer saying, yes, Sam Horn would have potentially been the starting quarterback had he not gotten hurt. I was like, no, he wouldn't have. So now you just erase all of the noise around your program. There's no question. It is very clear Austin Simmons is the guy. And I think that's really important at that particular position. And it's also not surprising that this guy would look good at spring camp. He earned the opportunity last year at Ole Miss over the guy that ultimately led Ole Miss to the college football playoff. He looked better than Trinidad Chambliss in practice to the point where Lane Kiffin, who I think knows offense pretty well, said, yeah, that's the dude we're building around. It's Austin Simmons' job until he got hurt, and then Trinidad Chambliss finally got his opportunity. So it all makes sense. I'm excited to see what he looks like in this offense. I can't wait to see what they can do with a legit talented quarterback behind center.
That's my thing. I just hope for once Eli Drinkowitz has found the quarterback.
Same.
So
it's
we
the
can
one
stop
thing he
with
hasn't
that.
done.
It's just that narrative to where it's like, oh, well, he can't recruit the right quarterback. He doesn't have an eye for the talent.
And it's a narrative, but it's also somewhat true.
Yeah.
He hasn't been able to get that position right so far.
And there's more pressure on it this year, right? I mean, we talked about this when they brought him on. You're not going to replicate what you did defensively last year. I mean, look at some of the guys that are going to the draft. Odds are you're not going to be able to replace those guys. And that puts more pressure on this quarterback position to make sure that you suddenly become that offense first team that hopefully the defense supports. Unlike last year, it was, hey, the defense is going to carry us. Would please, for the love of God, the offense do something well so we can win some of these big football games.
All right, I was going to go NFL quick hitters next, but I have another idea for us. Let's go ahead and start looking at what the rest of the day presents for the college basketball slate. Everybody's going to be locked in. We've already got the crowded environment here at Helen Fitzgerald's. A bunch of people already sitting down, hanging out, watching these games. We'll go through what we're expecting for the rest of the day and which games intrigue us the most. Maybe which side you guys like as well, because now we can bet on them here in the state of Missouri and get your action in over on the Underdog app as well. We'll get into all of that coming up next here on BK and Ferrario.
Center.
Huskers hammering Trojans. Good afternoon. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is presented by Universal Windows Direct. Following a slow start, fourth seed in Nebraska has stormed ahead of number 13 Troy 76-47 as second half South region play wages on in Oklahoma City. Elsewhere, out west, Wisconsin pacing High Point 41-39 at intermission. Louisville beating South Florida 37-27. Meanwhile, that initial first round final, TCU 66, Ohio State 64. Later tonight, Illinois grappling with Penn, SLU squaring off against Georgia. Baseball, St. Louis currently leads Washington 3-1 through 4 innings. First baseman Alec Burleson has 2 hits thus far. Braves outfielder Jurickson Profar will miss the entire season. His PED ban was upheld. This Sports Center update has been presented by Universal Windows Direct.
BK and Ferrario are brought.
Here we go.
Helen Fitzgerald's for our tournament tip-off party.
Refreshed by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
And you're live.
Just saw a graphic posted on Twitter of the teams that are the most dangerous but also volatile. So they are capable of great performances, but you just can't trust them. One of those teams in the graphic, Alex?
Yeah?
Wisconsin. 2 other teams in that graphic, Georgia and SLU. God only knows what we're going to witness this evening. God only knows. Both teams at their best can play as well as just about anybody in the country. And at their worst, boy, they could lose to just about anybody in the country. And we'll see them take the court against one another this evening at 8:45.
I don't feel good about it for SLU, and it's mostly because of how good Georgia had played down the stretch and how many points they hit triple digits like 6 times, I think, down the stretch. I don't think a team that limped to the finish line is going to be able to stop that Georgia offense.
Yeah, Georgia, toward the end of the season, was able to put up 102, 98, 88, 91, and 86 in their wins. So they can score. They just can't stop anybody because in those games they also gave up 96, 88, 80, 78, etc.
And I don't know if SLU's putting up that.
I think they can.
I think they
so?
can, but
Yeah.
I just like how's Avio feeling today?
Well, that's the thing.
You know, he's got plantar fasciitis. He may feel great this morning and be in pain by tonight.
Totally.
You know, so I have no great feel. I lean Georgia because the offense they have been putting up, but that really kind of contradicts with what I said after Missouri played Georgia in, what was that, January, when I said, guys, remind me when we get to the tournament. I don't care who Georgia's playing. I'm not picking Georgia. Well, guess what? I'm picking Georgia because they ran into SLU.
2 games have officially gone final. TCU with the win against Ohio State, 66-64. That one was a good one all the way down the stretch. Nebraska, in what was not a good one, won 76-47 against Troy. That one was really never close after Nebraska went on a run midway through the first half. 2 other games currently in action, both at the half. Wisconsin up 41-39, and South Florida is down by 10. 37-27 is the halftime score between Louisville and South Florida. Next tip-off will come at 2 o'clock, right as we hand things over to the fast lane, as Duke takes center stage against Siena. The other games taking place in the 2 o'clock hour is Vanderbilt versus McNeese. I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time talking about Duke. If that game's close, it'd be an absolute surprise. McNeese versus Vandy is interesting. Vanderbilt is a team that a lot of people have as a legit sleeper in this tournament. They're 12th overall in the KenPom metrics. Their offense has been really good, but it's been their defense that's been even better lately for them. How are you guys feeling going into this one? Because McNeese is a trendy upset pick, but also Vandy is a team that a lot of people are saying, maybe have them go further than you'd expect in your tournament. Where do you have this one going?
If I remember correctly, I think Vandy was one of those teams I was confused by just in terms of what the outcome was going to be. I have Vandy winning this one, but I don't really know why. I think it's just a matter of I'm so uncertain with Vandy that it's just kind of one of those I'm not going to fall with the trend of the typical 12 versus 5 upset in McNeese that everybody's going with.
Yep.
Yeah, every time I've watched Vandy, I happen to watch them when when they play like their least impressive basketball. I'm not saying I've seen them a lot, but I think McNeese hangs around in this one. I think they're in it by halftime, and then I think you start to see Vanderbilt pull away in the second half. I think they'll ultimately end up covering, but I think it will be interesting in half number 1.
This is another one of those games. I mentioned it with Wisconsin versus High Point, I believe it was, where one team's very reliant on turnovers, the other team doesn't turn the ball over. Well, that's McNeese. McNeese is highly reliant upon creating turnovers, and then for Vandy, they don't turn the ball over. So if you're watching this game, you get about 10 minutes in, and it seems like Vandy is just playing keep away with McNeese, I don't think that they're going to have any chance. If, though, McNeese's style works and it translates against these higher-level athletes that they're going to be playing against Vanderbilt, they may be in trouble because that could be the kind of thing that puts pressure on them. Now you've got the pressure ramped up, and suddenly they get a little bit chaotic with their offense. So that would be the case for McNeese. I don't see it. I like Vandy. I think they will go a little further in this tournament, so that's the side that I like. Michigan State versus North Dakota State. I love Michigan State this year. I think they're a really good team, and I always trust Tom Izzo this time of the year. Do you guys feel any differently about that one?
No, Michigan State with Tom Izzo in the first round.
I think if I remember correctly, I've got Michigan State getting to the Elite Eight.
I
think
have
I've got them
Sweet
beating
16.
the 2 in their side of the bracket.
Arkansas versus Hawaii, a game that tips off at 3:25. T-Bone, I'm going to leave this one open-ended for you because
Aloha.
I like Arkansas. I think they're wildly talented. They've got one of the best guards in the country with Darius Acuff. You believe in Hawaii. First of all, have you watched any Hawaii this year?
No. Just sounds like a beautiful place to be.
And second of all, why do you like Hawaii?
I like Hawaii because they're very good defensively. They rank top 20 nationally in effective field goal percentage defense, and they're able to do a pretty good job of lowering field goal percentage against teams that get inside because they've got a pretty big guy, a 7-footer down low to protect the paint. I think they're going to put the pressure on, and Coach Cal's going to feel it again. I don't trust him when it comes to the NCAA tournament. I think Hawaii's going to stick around in this one. The pressure's going to start to mount, and then Arkansas just goes cold in the second half, and Hawaii ekes out a win. I've only got them winning in this round, but I think they do pull off the upset today against Arkansas.
Yeah, I don't care about any of what he just said. Those advanced nerd numbers, Arkansas wins this one.
Yeah, well, I've got some more advanced nerd numbers for you, Alex.
Sure.
These are the teams that Hawaii has played this year that are ranked in the top 120 in
This is a
Ken
cherry
Palm.
pick stat if I've heard it.
So was yours advanced against the
No,
field goal
effective
percentage?
Field goal percentage?
Okay, let me say this another way. These are the good teams they've played.
Still feels cherry pick.
Oh,
That
wait.
doesn't feel nerdy.
I didn't name any because they haven't.
Oh!
They haven't played a
That's-
good
then
team
We're sleeping on them
all year.
Oh, don't
The
sleep on the
best
Rainbow
team-
Warriors.
T-Bone, did you
Stupid.
think Arizona State was good this year?
No, they suck. They just fired
Arizona
their
State
coach.
is the best team that Hawaii has played this year. They lost in that game 83-76.
You had to Google who the Hawaii basketball team's
We all-
mascots are.
No, I didn't. I knew they were the Rainbow Warriors. Look. It's not my fault nobody was scheduling Hawaii. They were too afraid.
They scheduled Oregon. They lost. They scheduled Arizona State. They lost.
They were too afraid.
It was just a bad shooting night, okay?
I think it
They
was
scheduled UC San Diego, and guess what? They lost. Hawaii's
These are
got it.
these are
They've
the
got no
teams.
shot.
These are the good
No
teams
shot.
that Hawaii beat.
Upset alert.
Nobody.
VCU versus North Carolina. This is one that I
Another
do like.
upset.
I've got VCU winning this one. It's not a very big upset in Vegas. It is an upset, though, based upon the seeding. It's the 6 versus the 11 seed. This one tips off at 5:50. We've got some really good games today. I like some of the matchups that we're going to see. I like VCU to win that one. North Carolina's got some injury issues they're dealing with right now. They haven't really been that great for the second half of the season. I just don't trust them. I do not trust North Carolina in this game. I think VCU wins this one outright.
Yeah, I had originally North Carolina winning it when I put my first bracket together, but the more noise I've heard about it, the more I'm kind of leaning in the direction of you guys. The injuries / dealing with the end of the season, I think VCU's the one that
It's
can
two
get this.
teams that are just trending in such different directions.
And that
UNC
matters.
got off to a hot start, and they have been, tailing off. VCU got off to a slow start. They've really been ramping it up, so I like the VCU side of
Yeah,
things
I like
here.
VCU as well. They've won 16 of their last 17, and I know it's the A-10. The one loss was against SLU, but they come in hot. And if North Carolina didn't have the injury issue, I probably would be taking North Carolina seal.
Michigan
They're still without him.
Michigan plays against Howard. Howard,
Did
a
you really
tournament
interrupt
team.
me for Michigan Howard?
Howard's
Are
a
you
tournament
kidding me?
team.
He's got a Howard.
And the
A
reason
Mizzou win.
the reason
Barely,
why I
by
like
the
it is
way.
because Mizzou beat Howard earlier this year. That is a better win than anything Hawaii has on their resume.
Oh.
I'll just put it that way.
QBK saying that when Michigan beats Howard, that Mizzou can beat Michigan.
That's right.
Yeah.
Texas versus BYU tonight at 6:25 in the West region. I love this matchup because I desperately want to see BYU advance, and I think they will advance because I do not trust this Texas team at all. So I'm excited to see BYU tonight, potential #1 overall selection in that game.
I feel like I'm going against every SEC team that plays with the exception of Florida.
Yep.
So I saw
pretty
Texas and
much
I'm like,
am.
yeah, I'm going to go the opposite direction.
How about this
Same
next
with
one?
A&M.
Texas A&M
Yeah, I'm
versus
going
St.
the other way.
Mary's. St.
Yep.
Mary's is actually a 2.5-point favorite in this one.
Yep.
They are the 7 seed going up against the 10 seed Texas A&M. I like St. Mary's. It's a matchup of two very, very different styles. A&M wants to run up and down the court. Meanwhile, St. Mary's wants to slow things down as much as humanly possible. Yeah, this is one of those Bennett brothers, like the old Tony Bennett system that they played with at Virginia. I hate watching it, but it is effective, and they're really damn good at it. And they can shoot.
Yeah, I've given up on the SEC after this season. So basically any SEC matchup that's not Florida, I've gone the opposite
All right,
direction.
T-Bone, your Illini tonight, 8:25 tip-off on TNT against Penn.
Yeah, it's a big win.
25.5-point line.
I don't know if they're covering, but it's a big win.
Oh, well, that's not a great team then.
Well,
All right.
That's fair.
I do think they will win. I do think they will cover. I'm not worried about this one. They'll be fine. Georgia versus SLU.
I got SLU.
I got Georgia. SLU's trending the wrong way. I can't trust them. I think Georgia's going to play up-tempo and just win. I think they win by 10.
How do you think this season's remembered by SLU fans if they lose this
A
game?
success. I don't think it matters in this tournament, at least in my opinion. This season put them on the map in terms of national stage. Shirts has been talked about, and I think last year going into the season there were so many people hyping it up of, oh my gosh, they got Shirts, they got Avila, and they underwhelmed. This one, to me, put them on the map, and so I think this is a win no matter what.
I'm not sure it gets determined until we see what the encore performance is from Josh Shirts. The only way you're remembered as a mid-major and be quote-unquote put on the map, as you said there, is if you get back to the NCAA tournament and Shirts keeps bringing you there. Otherwise, everybody's going to forget about them. So I think it's dependent upon what they do next year. They win around, it's definitely a success. But based on how we talked about them like 2 months ago as a team that could be going into the second weekend of the tournament, depending on the draw, right now it'll be incomplete if they lose today until we see what Shirts does as the encore.
Yeah, I think so much of it is dependent upon Robbie, and Robbie's hurt. And so it's hard for me to say, like, this has been a failure or a disappointment of a season. If I had told you coming into the year, this is the way that the season would go, they would finish 28-5, and they would make it to the first round of the NCAA tournament with a 50-50 game against Georgia. I think every SLU fan listening right now would have said, where do I sign up? That sounds great. We will have a ton of memories that we make out of that season, and hopefully we can keep Josh Shirts around and we can continue to build on it. So I think it will be considered a success. You'll look back on this season and remember it fondly. It will be disappointing that it ended this way, but I don't think that makes the entire season a disappointment. For me, I would say it was still a success despite the disappointing finish to the season, similar to some of the Mizzou football seasons that we've seen in recent years. But me and T-Bone don't see eye to eye on that either.
Yeah,
Coming up next, we'll hit the rewind here on 101 ESPN. Check. Good? Okay. Everybody, just a real quick announcement for you guys. We'll get right Hey, if you guys missed any of today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page. 101ESPN.com and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
That 101 ESPN app, super easy to use. It's free to download, and it is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Plenty of great basketball coming up the rest of the afternoon. We'll be able to watch it all right here at Helen Fitzgerald's for the rest of today. The Fastlane will be broadcasting live out here momentarily. T-Bone sticking around for an hour with them. Then they've got Jackson stepping in as well. So be sure to stay tuned for that. If you guys missed any of our show, though, you can check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. All right, Alex, to finish out the show today with the rewind, let's talk a little bit about last night. Blues lose, but they do get a point in it nonetheless. Get to the shootout. They end up with 3 overturned goals in that game for Calgary, which allowed them to get to overtime. What did we learn about the Blues last night?
That they have no secondary scoring, and that's what they're going to have to address this offseason. I mean, Jordan Kyrou has gone silent since the Olympic break. Pavel Buchnevich has struggled as well. Their team has been carried by goaltending and Thomas, Snuggerud, and Holloway. And last night, I mean, they had the 3 overturned goals, which was great. Joel Hofer made the saves when he needed to get them to a shootout, but it's pretty evident when you had as many scoring chances as they did. I think it was 5 high-danger chances in the third, and you were unable to find the back of the net. So that'll be the area that'll need to be addressed, is finding that secondary scoring.
Cardinals in action right now. Alec Burleson today 2 for 3 at the plate with a walk as well.
Watch out.
Nelson Velasquez has an RBI for the Cardinals. And on the mound, Quinn Matthews went 4 innings, gave up 2 hits, 3 walks, 1 earned run, but did strike out 4. That was all against the Washington Nationals. That's your baseball update for today.
That's encouraging what that line finished as for Matthews, because he had walked 3 through the first 2 innings.
Oh, there you go.
So that's encouraging that he settled down.
So all things considered, nice outing by him. Riley O'Brien, I don't know how this was possible. Gave up 3 hits, did not allow a run, though, in 1 inning of work. Struck out 2. Gordon Graceffo got through a clean inning. No hits, no walks, no earned runs.
Bases loaded and no runs scored.
Found a way to wiggle his way out of it. All right, T-Bone, tonight your Illini are in action.
Got my family shirt on.
How you feeling going into this tournament, man? I know tonight you should feel good. You guys should not lose this game. It should not be a sweat against Penn.
Shouldn't.
But how you feeling?
I'm not worried tonight. I'm worried starting Saturday. Just because they've not been able to get stops. And as we're seeing with Wisconsin in their game, it's what's allowing a team like High Point to hang around. So, their offense is going to put up points. They're going to shoot a lot of threes, but the problem that they've run into late when they've gone up against the elite talent, they shoot a ton of threes and they can't get second chance rebounds when they miss, which they very much rely on, and they can't stop the guards on the other side because teams are going after Wagler. So I'm very concerned they could be a second-round exit type team, but they could also get to the Final Four if everything clicks together.
I just think you got such a good draw. The winner of UNC versus VCU you should be able to beat, and then coming out of the bottom portion of that bracket, I don't think St. Mary's, Texas A&M, or Idaho are going to beat you. It's really just Houston, and they're not the kind of team that I would expect to take advantage of the issues that exist for Illinois. So I like the draw for Illinois. They are a team that I didn't trust going in, but with the draw, I think they're going to be fine getting to the Elite Eight, which means congratulations on the Illini for their first round loss.
Which means you're losing in the second game.
T-Bone will not be here tomorrow to give me crap for the Missouri Tigers.
Rooting on Miami.
We will be, so we're looking forward to talking to you tomorrow at 11 a.m. If you did not come out today, be sure to come on out after you get off work or whatever. The Fast Lane's coming up next. They've got you taken care of from 2 to 6 here at Helen Fitzgerald's. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Huge shout-out to Bradford Bruns, who is back in the studio for us today doing a fantastic job on the 1s and 2s, and for Doty, who did everything for us on the production side of things here on Remote. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 11. The Fast Lane's next here on 101 ESPN.